Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to, I know everybody's been missing me. It's been 4 months. Like I had a lot of following or something, but, uh, just kind of interesting story. What's occurred to me over the last 4 months, and I broke a little bit of it down this morning, but it's kind of like a skill, like being able to like talk like this for like an extended period of time and staying on track with like your narrative and stuff. So it's like really, really difficult to do that. But um, let's see something real quick. Screen one is going to be that one. Okay, there we go. All right. So last 4 months, what's been going on? Let's see. It's been an interesting one, that's for sure. Um, it's been a real interesting one. So I guess the best way just to start this off is I got hacked to shit like 4 months ago. January 27th was the exact date that it happened. It was really, really soon. It seemed like what had happened. I joined a streamer's community server, um, which shit happens, and it was like in a couple of days, I'm getting hit, and then there was something else going on. It was really weird. I couldn't explain a lot of it at the time, but I've spent the last 4 months, 10, 12 hours a day recreating and re-engineering this and putting the threat analysis together and trying to learn a little bit more about how maybe I can try to transition from doing car business stuff for 18 years into maybe trying to do some cybersecurity, try to help some people, because I think it would be rewarding. Because I can tell you, I never thought I'd be in this situation, and you never know until you are, right? And then it's like, you think you're going to be good, but man, is there levels to this that it's kind of even hard for me to explain without, seeming like I'm losing my mind or anything. But, even when you try to talk to somebody going through this, it's like one of those things like where, oh, you're hearing there's radio frequencies communicating with your computer, and you're like, yeah, that sounds kind of crazy. I get it. Uh, so it's like, and then you try to help. But I will tell you, I had some allies I didn't really know. It was just really, really strange, like communicating with people in such a cryptic way. Because some people are playing games on one side of the fence, and on the other side of the fence, there's actually maybe somebody that's trying to help. But neither of the two will ever really tell you because it's just it's kind of a part of the gig. Um, if they don't have your authorization first. But I definitely was welcoming any help. I was swimming in the deep there. But let me kind of tell you what occurred with these series of events, with what kind of malware they got me and stuff like that. So what happened? Um, Basically, it's the Hive's ransomware. I had a company look over all of my hash marks. I've never done this professionally, but I've always been very interested in it. I just didn't realize I was going to have to go jump in the deep end. But I learned a lot. So that's something to be said about that. But as far as what this company's told me based on the paperwork that I put in, I got it right here. Okay, so external sender alert. Email originated from a sender outside of the company. Great, sure. Submission of cybersecurity incident from me. I didn't put my stage name, Imagical, on there. Just put, my real name, Evan. And then, I'm formally submitting a forensic evidence regarding a cybersecurity incident involving hardware I received from the company, right? I don't really want, I'm going to try to refrain from like saying it's to them or like making any like assumptions, because the thing is I don't want to like make a company look bad because it was a few dumbasses. You know what I'm saying? Like, this sucks. Camera in here. Anyways, so yeah, I don't want to like try to put it back on them, but I did give them a 72-hour window to respond to me. and they never did and never answered any of my questions. So I guess it has to go to the next step on that point, because it's unfortunate, because I don't want to have to spend any more time doing this. Like, I spent 4 months like just trying to use any electronic device in my whole home. I mean, my cell phone blew up basically in my hands, and not like an explosion, but like it fried like the board on it or something, because it was connected to my PC through like phone link. I'm streaming, please. So I was connected to the phone link, and I think that's why it kind of got overflown there. But that's like a $1,200 cell phone. I wasn't compensated for that, and then I went without a phone, just because it was just so hard for me to even communicate with getting emails out. I couldn't, I could use like my mom's phone. And then it started happening to them where they couldn't, once they got done with me and they realized I wasn't playing the game and I kind of bucked, they moved on to immediate family, which it's really hard for that to happen, and kind of hold your guns. But it's a ransomware, right? So these are the same kind of crews that are going to like, encrypt your drives. And then they're going to like try to blackmail you for money, or they're going to tell, if you don't pay them, they're going to share some naked pictures of you or something, or whatever, which is, it's what I've always been a believer in the internet, of the fact that like, if you're doing, I mean, you're supposed to, obviously you can't be doing dumb things online. There's got to be regulation. There's got to be people watching, right? It's just what it is. More like a zero trust kind of situation, because some of these tools too, within all that, there needs to be monitoring of. And I think that they've been doing a good job of that and putting people through a vetting process, whether they realize it or not. So I think that there's going to be some people that find out here pretty quick that they've been watched with these tools. And if they have used them in a hellacious manner, they're going to pay a toll. And hopefully, it's within the same, framework of what they've done to people psychologically. Now, I'm 30 years old. There ain't much you can do to me to get me out of my head, but a little over 90 days is a lot for anybody, especially when you're having to pull your NVMe out of your PC. You have no hard drive, can't boot with them because they're so, I mean, they're just, you can't. It wasn't working. My BIOS was fake. It was mimicked. And I've got all this stuff, and I'm going to go over it when I share my screen. I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of background on the fact that, like, it sucks. And I think there needs to be some awareness of the fact that, like, there's people out here that we don't even know that this is happening to, and they don't know what to do. I mean, if I don't know what to do, I mean, shit. And I'm kind of somewhat computer savvy, not to the level of obviously these individuals, but shit. I mean, when you're talking about them triggering certain payloads through bots on, okay, here we go. Well, I got disconnected there for a second, but I just wanted to kind of pick up. So 4 months of all that, it's a lot, right? So let me kind of give you a little breakdown of like what the situation is with some of the attacks and manipulations that they use, and vectors and things. So maybe y'all can like keep your eyes to this, keep out for it and try to avoid some of these similar things. Now, I've always been the type of person, don't be this guy. Don't be me. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you, because I made it way worse than I should have on myself, just by default of like, you know, they're coming in at you. I gotta fix this because this sucks. Um, replace screen with the screen one. Allow. There we go. Okay. I don't like looking at myself all like blown up like that. Okay. So, anyways, we'll get comfortable. We'll lock in here in a second. So, basically, it just really sucks, right? So, I mean, I'm going to keep saying that because I mean that's about all you can say. But through this process, I've learned that my camera sucks. But yeah, it's a real shitter, man, because like I haven't talked to anybody in 4 months. I couldn't even get on Twitch. I couldn't even get on the internet. I was completely psychologically abused and emotionally. But what they failed to realize is I've done that to myself and worse than they could ever dream of doing. So I'm like the last person to ever give into stuff like that because I'm not right in the head. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not. I'm not going to stop. So yeah, it's 12 hours a day. I'm not the smartest guy, but I work hard. I worked 18 years in the car business, and those are long hours, 12 hours a day. And yeah, so I mean, it's been a rough year too. Lost my dad. Daughter had spinal fusion surgery. I didn't play Counter-Strike for 10 years. I was too busy working and providing for my family, so I had a little time off, bought a computer. Maybe 45 days after I started having some initial issues, that was around like October of 24. And that was around the crowd strike. Well, it was right before that crowd. Was it crowd strike? Crowd, whatever it is. That was like October. I think I had it the month and a half like before all that. And that thing, it gave me a little bit of trouble, but you know, nothing like what I had to deal with on this run. And it's the version 2 of that. So I think creatively what we've had to have done is realize that we were in a situation, and I think that we had to stop some sort of connection there because this thing persists on the fact that like it knows that you're going to reformat your computer. So for it to get its hooks in deep enough, you have to reformat, and then you have to act like a normal individual on a computer and register for emails and stuff like that. And I guess it was like, let me back up real quick. But yeah, even those emails that I was registering like in Microsoft weren't even real emails. They're not even existing. So what it all is like you're in a virtual environment they boot you into. So you put in credit card information. I think Microsoft, their sales for like Office or whatever was like $13 billion last year. So just think about the fact that like, hey, it would be a good lick for somebody to get 1% of that shit. You would take it. But man, it's a bad way to do it. I just would have assumed that maybe this was going to be like somebody out of the country or something like that. But wouldn't you think that like it's your own people that do it to you? People that you share interest with, people that you kind of sort of know a little bit, just from interacting, and whether they don't like you or whatever, they see an opportunity. It's like, and it sucks because that just kind of. I can't help but think, but like, because I remember there's a tournament. I'm from Dallas, and there's a Counter-Strike tournament right now downtown. Back in 2002, I know I'm old. Don't make fun of me too much. I was playing in those pre-CPL tournaments, like in the qualifiers and stuff like that. It was called it was a Lethal Gamers LAN party. And then we used to have another one called the Ghetto LAN party. And man, yeah, the community, it was awesome. I learned so much about computer. I found a passion, right, when I needed to find one. I had gotten hurt playing hockey. So it was just a really, really easy transition for me. And I fell in love with computers. And then just going to those like LAN parties and stuff, like you met a certain type of individual that you actually felt comfortable like being around. I've always been one of those kind of people that's just never been comfortable. So it's just like, it was kind of felt like at home. There was always something cool. Computers were just so new to everybody in the technology So it was just fascinating. And I learned a lot. That's where I got, I mean, I started took my A+ certification class, like probably my sophomore year. I think I passed it junior or senior year. Uh, Never used it professionally. And of course, things have changed a lot. Never would I have ever understood that there would have been a thing that you could have remotely controlled your PC through a thing called a management engine by way of a low energy BLE signal mounted on a vertical M.2 slot, partitioned, ironically enough, behind a really, really sneaky wall that was put there intentionally. I don't care. Say what I know for a fact. When you know, you know. And I've got the receipts. So now whether it's company or did it, I don't know. But the guys that are the tech support, whether it's third party or not, the problem with it is they're building it and they're getting the warranty work back in. So this is the problem with supply chain compromises, is they've got you before you walk out the door. Before you bought the thing, you're done. You might have thought about it. Man, I'm going to get me a computer for my birthday or Christmas or special occasion. Well, guess what? You're done. You're done. And then, hey, if you're lucky, that's it. Or like me, you get your credit pulled 72 different times. You've got your number, your name, all of your information posted in Russian and Chinese, Japanese, every language across the internet. Because I caught the individuals that were hacking into me. And I'm still debating on, I mean, I don't really know. Like, so besides the computer company that was already there through an exploit that they kind of planted, right? It forced the hand of the computer company because they were trying to wait me out on the warranty so they could cover up some shit that they do. I had no idea that this was the case. And before anybody tells me, why did you buy a pre-build? Because I'm busy, man. I don't have to build anything. I should be able to go and buy a product from a reputable place and not worry about it. I mean, like, what the hell? Like, what is that? Like, there's just no, I don't know what's happened to the way that like we do business in general, but if I ever did like some shit like that or just didn't perform correctly in my job, I wouldn't have had one as a normal individual. You know what I'm saying? Like these companies get away with way too much. And I think there's gotta be some sort of change in that. Zero trust seems like it would be a good change in that. And that would be a really interesting way to look at some things. Because on the back end of that, there's some pretty crazy tools out there right now. And when I go and show you this stuff, I don't really know how to use all this stuff very well. So I'm going to refrain from talking about a lot of these things. And if I show anything, I'm going to do my best to cover it all up. And I'm just going to let you know right now. Don't fuck around with this stuff. There's federal offenses involved. You're ruining people's lives with this stuff, affecting your family. You know, my mother's 74 years old and she hasn't been on Facebook. It's the only way she communicates for 4 months. And she's made 2 accounts and she's banned for 180 days on both accounts because of the bot traffic on my network. I think I had 100 something. So what would happen with those bots? They'd hit you 5 at a time. It's like the max, like 5, 5, 5, 5. And then I'm sandboxed. So right when I get into a graphical, it's so bad. They put you in a grinder. It's like the Matrix basically. And that's actually what one of the channels that mimics a Discord that you connect to through a proxy is what it is. But I've got all this stuff to show. I wanted to kind of sum some of this stuff up. But let me just read you off what these individuals did. I mean, and I'm kind of cool with it because I think I set the high score on the NIST rating. So I mean, at least there's something to be said about that, right? I mean, old car salesman, you know, kind of figured it out, you know. But the crazy thing about this, and I love it, because in the config, it said X and U out, right? Like they were fucking with me. And then in the L1 cache, I believe, or whatever it is, it has like some like 0x0000. Well, what happened with that is they did 0x dead 000, so it bricks that first line or whatever. What I don't know what it is with. I know what it is. They're the types of individuals that probably, you know, didn't have the easiest time. And I mean, that sucks. And I feel sorry for them. But don't let something that had happened to you at a certain point in your life when you were a child or a kid define who you're going to be for the rest of your life, because you're going to turn into a piece of shit. And that's just what it is. And that's exactly what all these individuals are. And I'm lumping that all together because I really don't know. There's been so many different things going on. It's hard. It's really hard to tell the difference between who's who, right? You don't know if they're 5 feet or 5,000 miles in front of you. And then you find people in the weirdest of situations. They just let you know when the time's right. And it just, luckily, I had some good. And I mean, I even kind of cussed at this person because I thought, I don't know, it's a real, it's a real mind twist. So saying all that, the support systems around the stuff, because nobody called and checked on me. I'm 30 years old. I don't really, I got kids here and stuff, but we were all in this together. And even at some points, it kind of was like I took on the responsibility of just keeping it all busy, and I kept it busy. Booting into grub params, hot clear control jumping, which you take a flathead screwdriver to the clear control post, and you just boot right through it, which you still get into a fake BIOS, still puts you into a grub params, but you have a little bit of a room to wiggle around. And I don't know if anybody uses Linux, but when you boot into like a graphic or like into the first screen when you're booting in, there's like a menu. You can hit E and it'll take you to like a sub menu behind it, right? Well, within that sub menu, you can set parameters that you want it to follow before it starts loading the version of the Linux that you're using, or you can delete all that if you don't have it in a config. But in this case, it had every single thing you could possibly imagine, and there's a lot of options. A lot. They attacked me. It was encoded. They attacked me on a Windows. It's encoded in Mac and ELF and ZSH, which stuff's kind of all the same. Persists in Linux as well. So this thing has all of that code in the parameters because it's going to follow those said parameters within that boot, because Linux doesn't discriminate against, oh, your Windows, we're not messing with you. It's the baseline for all of it, or pretty much, I guess what it used to be like DOS or something, but it's just a minimal, terminal, and there's levels to that too. Like when I first started doing it, I struggled. I mean, man, but I'll tell you, the best thing that happened out of this is this forced me to not use ChatGPT. Not that it's bad. I'm not saying that. I'm a real big fan of it if you're not sandbox. But everything I was getting was bad information. And that's what you have to realize. If you have anything going on, don't resort to using the device that could be tainted somewhere in between you and the connection. And that's not their fault. It's not your fault. You got attacked. You're a victim. But people are going to continue to keep doing that. So what they do is they manipulate your local network testing, your loop back configuration. Instead of testing within your network, they open it up to, 1,000 ports. And then my MTU, which is like the power that goes to it, was at 65,536. It's supposed to be 1,500. So that's a health hazard. I've been sick. It's been humming in here. You can just hear it. It's so bad. It got better though once I kind of started figuring out how to move around it. But there's even like programs in these things that will send a certain noise through that would drive you crazy. And that's what this is. This is like somebody that it's psychological warfare. It's like something that you would I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. And the type of person that think this would be okay to do to anybody, and me being self-centered as I am, do it to me of all people, shit. You got, but no, it's just, you can't help but sit here and think it's like, what goes through these individuals' minds? Like, are they that greedy? Are they that hurt? Are they that much pain? Like they need to make other people suffer? Because guess what? They're about to suffer. We're about to make them suffer for everything that's happened to the victims that haven't been able to catch them during this. So luckily, I saw them coming. The computer company was still, I didn't know it at the time, but there was multiple people attacking me almost on the same wavelength. and we were already in a virtual environment. So this makes things really, really interesting when you start running coinciding attacks like Metasploits on a low-end loopback that's been opened with 1,000 ports, and they're already connected to your computer. That person's probably used some sort of personal information like a phone. I mean, it just, a lot of stuff starts bleeding through the lines there, and I don't really know what all the repercussions, because I can't really get back to my framework. But I also cloned the compiler in total of both of the, yeah, I didn't know. And that's the thing. You never know the full story or the circumstances. And that's why you just should never get involved in shit like this. Yeah, it's cool, whatever. If you're like, with your friends, you're playing around, and it's something like an isolated network that's not going to cause any harm, yeah, go for it. Because these tools should be used to stop the people that are really doing things. Maybe they thought that me playing some Counter-Strike and, I'm a used car salesman, so, and it's not like you're going to tell anybody and it's going to shock them that I might have been looking at some pornographic material online. I mean, whatever, but nothing crazy. But for these individuals to continue to keep messing with me for over 90 days, that means that something had to have been going on that was of that kind of magnitude, because you want to start talking about multiple people being involved in like federal cases, because it's all federal charges, every single bit of it. Anything that you do electronically, especially across state lines, it's illegal, especially in the United States. You're fucked. So that's why they'll try to hide out in like the Netherlands or whatever. But that's easy for somebody like me to figure out once you get out of the simulation, because their tricks are their downfall. You just got to turn them around. So on the loop back, the thing about that is you're the starting point. You're the host. Yeah, you're not in control of where your data is going, but you can manipulate that to find out where that's going to come back to. It's a circle, right? I'm probably going to explain that very well, but it's a loop. So if there's a loop and it's functional, it can function the other opposite direction too. It's a two-way street. Computers, zeros, ones. It's very simple. The only people that make this thing difficult are the individuals behind them. And I've noticed that, like with this stuff and these tools, like the offensive tools and the defensive tools, there's not much difference, right? Because you can have equal arguments for certain things for defensive purpose, more so than you would actually use those things for an offensive type situation. But I was not prepared for any of this. I never thought I was going to get into a digital war, with anybody. And then to put, something in my computer about like, or set up a port that was like, grounds for war or something like that, or just, they kept just dogging at me, and which is a tell in itself, because it was getting to them that I wouldn't go away. These are the type of individuals that don't have any resistance and they get away with everything. Not anymore. Not anymore. We gotta make sure that we stop that for all the people that they've taken advantage of, and I'd like to find out how many, because that's the real concerning thing. It's like, how many people have been affected, how many people mentally younger been taken advantage of, blackmailed, everything that you can think of, and I think of the worst, right? So it's just like, I'm thinking of the worst here. So within the first week of all this going on, and I started seeing all this stuff going on, I went down to the FBI office and I'm like, hey, look, here's what it is. I just need to come down here and talk to y'all, because I don't know, and I need to make a report. And the IC3 has got its own building in Dallas, and I was kind of like there for a minute, not really knowing what was going on. I had talked to local PD because I have a local issue. When they resold my information and opened me up, well, guess what I got opened up to? Local home intrusion. So like mail was getting stolen and stuff like that, because once you let somebody in, you can't get them out. You just can't. And then they all work together like in groups, especially if it's like a gang related thing, like the thing like locally. They have a Wi-Fi bridge that's like running across the neighborhood, and because my loopback was being shared already, at that amount, they decided to start using me as like the jump point, and they've just built a government center around the building that does tax paperwork and everything for like vehicle registration. And it's a real hotspot because I'm the end of the node. I'm the end of the line. The church is closed here. There's a fire station, and then there's a government center. So this was like prime real estate for somebody to want to try to take advantage of it. And I'm going to tell you, I felt like I fought everybody on the internet because I found out my Mac ID is like, what's the roughest place to go? Like the most dangerous. Like, like you're going to get probably, might get stabbed if it's the wrong time of the day, right? That's the type of the internet that I was in. And not that it's a bad thing. It's just like the stomping grounds. It's proving grounds. It can be a good like way to cultivate it because you can shut it off under normal circumstances. But so my Mac ID was 0000000000. It's like a weird like defaulted thing that it's been existing for like a long time. I guess it's because it's the letter 2, but it's Xerox Corporation. So, which is interesting because a lot of people bite on that name, X or the Hive or whatever. And I just thought for the longest time, like they were all like hackers or whatever. That's why they kind of like hung out down there. But no, there's like a whole community of people that are like trying to actively do the right thing. It's just hard, right? Because there's not many times that you actually can probably be on that other side of things as them, because they're just doing the Lord's work. They're not like getting any pats on the back. Those are the guys that really, who knows how many people they've caught and helped and tried to improve. And I know they've kind of like helped me with it, even though we haven't been able to like speak, but I can see it. They know that I can see it. It's how we operate. I mean, that's just how I use a computer. They know. They're sitting there watching. They're making sure. And, it's just really hard. You have these feelings, which you always going to have these self-doubts too. But I wasn't able to communicate with a single person other than my family inside of my house. My phone calls were routed outside of this place. I couldn't even get calls coming in. I was trying to start a job. Good luck on starting that job. Didn't have a telephone. How are you going to get a hold of me? And even if they would call me, I couldn't have taken the job because in finance, what kind of sense or what kind of responsibility would it be if I was going to go pull 200-300 people's credit in a month and there'd be like some sort of steal hanging out, sort of, security issue. And I never really thought about it. Like, I was like, oh, I do pretty good. Like, I don't really pay, nobody's paying me no attention. Somebody is always paying attention. And that's the next point. I don't care how good you are. Stop thinking that in anything that you do. Don't ever think that you know it. Because once you do, you're done. You'll never advance. You'll never get better at your craft. And you're going to get lapped by people that do it for way less amount of time because they work twice as hard. So always be curious, but not like, in a bad way, but like just always try to keep a level head of like, I don't know it all, but I'm going to try my best. We're just going to figure it out and we'll learn something new. That's what the mentality that you got to have. I think there's been a lot of problems with like the fact that we get so defeated, right? And these people prey on that one thing is just to wear you down. They never consider that they possibly might run into somebody that's playing them at the same time, a honeypot. So did they not? I mean, I knew. So I took them into deep waters. I had to make these people force themselves out, just like I did last night. And I've done several times, just like I did with one of the ISOs that I was given. And that ISO, let me show you what the picture is on it. And somebody fell for this just like so fast. And I didn't do it. This wasn't my handiwork. But it's smart though. Where's it at? Because people that are greedy and scam, they don't think twice. They go, right? So that's kind of where that falls through. Where is my damn desktop wallpaper at? Desktop. Sorry. I was going to show you this panel real quick. Desktop. There it is right there. That's the OS wallpaper that was on my operating system. It's called Kobachi Linux. And I'm going to tell you the thing about all of these distributions, I've come to find out, it's all the same. It really is. It's just a difference between graphical stuff and like preference, which you can kind of interchange in between. But the most interesting situation is when I could get online, everything I would download, it would look like it went through, everything was good. I'd ask ChatGPT, hey, give me the, DD command, which is just like a terminal instead of using a Rufus or whatever. It rewrites it with zeros and then copies the ISO over, and you can like curl it. So I was thinking that it was just based on the fact that like clicking a button to get online and hitting a download, that was the vector of like them stopping you from doing that. But no, this thing's hard written. What I got hit with had to be one of the like roughest. I don't see how it gets any worse. They hit me with everything. I mean, every single button that you could click, every single attack, every single angle, everything available. They hired. I mean, man, I had local stuff going on. I had that stuff going on, and then I had some streamers still messing with me. I had another buddy of mine that, they got my brother off of a phone call. I accidentally put a drive that was on the internet that was a damn Windows NT. I didn't even think I was online, but the way that some of this stuff works now, it jumps. It'll jump, and I was not aware of that. I was not aware of the USB travel and stuff too. So then I let the Russians in with that, and they're looking, man, it was crazy. I had on my phone 100 radio stations opened up in like 10 seconds. I was like, what the hell is this about? Well, I won't really go into all that because it gets real like, there's no reason for you to lose any sleep over it. But they can actually, in certain situations, not all. Okay, so this isn't just going to happen to everybody. I don't want you to think that. Certain setups, certain situations, certain points of attack, if they were already kind of there, they can bounce signals off of certain devices in your house. It's called IS authority. Or at least that's what the computer told me, and I looked it up. But I could tell you for a fact, I had to replace the air conditioner board twice, which is like $30 or something, that little thing that goes behind, because the power transfer would pop it. And we have a gas heater. So I was really nervous about that thing, like having some issues. The refrigerator, it's a Samsung. It's got a antenna on the top. It's not smart. It just sends a little bit of data. And you could hear that thing just spinning up. And weird things, like I would turn off my computer, something in the other room would just start up. So it was just crazy. I thought I was losing my mind. So somebody definitely was there to kind of give me a good push of like, hey, no, you're not crazy. This is just, it's wild, but you're handling it well. And I'm like, yeah, right. This guy's trying to put me together. He's trying to get me to continue to keep doing this because they're going to try to put something on me. And that's the problem with this. Like, you got to trust, but then you can't. You got to have critical, and you got to kind of like play this game. But not everybody's going to be able to do that, and that's why they get taken advantage of. So to my point, you're going to have to implement. And I believe that there's a possibility to do it. I don't have the brain for it, and then vetting the people to do it. I don't know what you put them through or how you do it, but it'd be a really good way to somehow simulate some of the same stuff I went through, so you can see what they do when nobody's looking. That's how you know who you are. What do you do when nobody's looking? Because at the end of the day, whether you realize it or not, you're gonna have to just be with yourself. You're gonna have to come to grips with who you are. You're just gonna be a miserable person. Why do I know this? Because I've been that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just what it is. It's just a cycle of life, but you got to break out of it. Can't sit around and feel sorry for yourself or put it back on other people, because that's an empty hole. And I'll be honest with you, like, the people that think they're going to get away with something, they always go first. It's just what it is. I know that because I've been one of them. So you got to learn from your mistakes. So hopefully the individuals, whatever in what capacity, reprimanded in some way. I don't know what way. It's not for me to decide. But I think there should be a bar. A severity bar. Like, how many times does this happen? Steam has 70,000 accounts stolen. Stolen every month. who's who's doing it. They're gonna know. They already know. Since in the last, like, I don't know, 6 months, unknowns to a lot of people, and even people that are so-called professionals and are so smart, they have no idea some of the things that they have now that I've been privy to that they haven't even seen yet. Just because there's code running doesn't mean you have to see it. It can be hidden in an audio file. It can be hidden in an SVG image. That's no big deal. It can be delivered in another language. It can be casted by a radio broadcast. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen now. And then even if you understand the scope of it, you have to have a lot of different abilities to be able to pull off this stunt. And I'm not even trying to sit here and say that I have these abilities, so don't get it twisted, because, man, I sweated and struggled all the way through this thing. It was real touch and go. The only thing that saved me is these little guys right here. And why is my light not working? These little guys, these little USBs. I've got 10 of them, duplicated everything with these individuals, like, operating systems. I've got a Windows, when you boot into it, looks like a Fedora. I've got a VR that looked like it was Fedora. It was so crazy. And I was like, why does this look like, I don't even use Fedora, but that's probably what they were using at the time, or one of them was exactly. But it's just really interesting, like, because I didn't understand, like, it's funny how you go from step one to something like this. You're like, whoa, surely not. That can't be the case. And then, like, fast forward 4 months, holy shit, man. Yeah, of course that's what it is. I mean, it's just funny how you can kind of have a mental shift, but regardless of how big the task is, and if you have some understanding, you can handle it, right? You don't let people push you around, but also don't get yourself into a situation to where you're making matters worse. But hopefully there will be things in place to make sure that you're protected within that framework. Because it's not the bot's fault that it's doing what it's doing. It's the asshole that fucking set it up in the Discord channel, or what you think to the Discord channel. Do me a favor real quick. Everybody that's in Discord right now, go hit into the dev console and start getting familiarized with it, and then look at what your URL link is. Because you'll find out, especially if you're like on Kobachi Linux, because I broke it the other night. It is a screen share of a program it's called Matrix. Matrix is the channel, and it's basically just like the operating system with like an XTG open, or like a free open desktop or something. It's the same vector of attack that they use with ransomware and stuff now, or like what they're doing with certain other attacks, and like probably taking Steam accounts and crypto and zombies and bots and stuff like that. It's all kind of the same. All these individuals kind of the same thing. If one's doing bots, he's probably doing a lot of things with those bots. He's not just cornering the market on being the one bot guy that just watches for somebody to put in a password to one site. Nah, it's monopoly. So they're running bots for streaming services. They're running bots for everything that you can think of, right? But I mean, there's people have their differences. Most of them are all crypto mining you. And a lot of people are confused with what that is. Crypto mining has kind of changed a little bit. It's not necessarily like they're sitting there just mining for coins. That's just a pretty way to say it. What they're doing is, if they do have money in Bitcoin, they're going to use your hardware to launder that money through donations and live streams. They're going to use that for cleaning their money. There's another federal charge. So, it's just, there's a lot going on with it. And I'm not saying that, like, there's a lot of people that can be victims of the situation within this too. Like, I've had weak moments in my life and people could exploit it. I'm sure. I've probably done it too myself at some point. It's just human nature. Like, shit like that happens, but you just try not to be a piece of garbage. But I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, they could have fallen victim to it. So that's what I think about. It's like, what about like somebody my daughter's age? Like, that's what like resonates with me. Like, if that happened to her, like, it would crush her world. You know what I mean? And then what can you do to really defend against it? You got people playing shadow games with you. Well, I feel like I took one home for the team. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know. I'm up running. I seem to have caught kind of a good, you know, stride with it because it's, I mean, even for the last 90 days, maybe around 24 hours uptime consistently, which I can see why they wanted to keep me down so long because they were using my computer to viewbot and probably share those 900 ports that they opened as fake viewers off of my ports. And that's why I couldn't access anything. I was restricted everywhere. And also, you get put into the isolated internet, which is where everything is so unsecured. And when you can't get your foot on steady ground, it's, you know, it's like walking across moss uphill down a creek. You know, it's like real slippery. So it's just it's tough. But yeah. But the best thing that came out of this, I didn't use any automation. I did not use a single script. I didn't pull a single GitHub. I didn't. I did try to like get a little direction from ChatGPT, but the problem with it is I was having to play mind games with that thing, and that's no fun because those AI, like it's so hard to tell sometimes because all of a sudden it'll wake up and just give you one wrong command, and that's how sneaky this thing is. Like it'll get you just. You have to be aware, and I think that this just needs to be, you know, talked about a little bit more. And I think we need to have something like that because, man, I consider myself to be kind of a headstrong person because I'm kind of like insane. I don't think they expect anybody to sit behind a computer for 12 hours a day. I mean, hell, I've been up for over 24 hours. Just, you know, I'm so worked up over this whole situation. I was supposed to go down and watch the Counter-Strike deal in Dallas, but I'm going to tell you, I've done all this work just to get going on the computer, and now that I'm going, I don't know what to do. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, man, that was crazy. That was a close shave, wasn't it? You know, like it's just a really, really weird trip. And especially when you're not really where it says you are, your IP says you are, but you're in a virtual environment, in a simulation of all facets. I mean, just think of like, it's a simulation. It's like a matrix. It's actually what it's called. And it's everything. It's everything under the sun. It's probably like the final boss of malware. If I were to take a guess, I don't know how it gets any worse unless if it hits a lot of things all at once. And so that's the scary thing. It could really kill the infrastructure. And that's, hey, how do you take out a country that's got all these powerful weapons? If you can't beat them with firepower, what do? You use people that are greedy, like these individuals that are exploited. You give them some tools that probably were made by a government, just like we probably have as a government. I'm not trying to say anybody's not, you know, whatever. It's just the reality of it, okay? Those people then find younger people, script kids, stuff like that, to do their bidding. And that's where it gets even more messed up because they don't even really realize what they're getting into, because the only way to stay anonymous online is to hide behind somebody else. And I just think it's kind of cowardly. You should be there kind of holding them up, you know. I think there needs to be more of that, because that was a pretty cool feeling. Like it felt like kind of the boys came running, you know, because man, I was really worried there for a second. I was like, man, I don't know what the hell's going on. And I kept thinking, I was like, man, I feel it. I know something's going here that's going in the right direction. I can feel some of the shift, but you know, how it happens, like within like how you get to a point of like justice on something like that, is probably very difficult to prove. Like, but most people, I don't think, find out until 6. I don't know. There's a statistic on it. Some people don't even know. Like, they just get taken and they're like, oh shit, all my money's gone. I didn't lose a penny. A penny. Yeah, jack my credit up. Guess what? I have a car. Don't care. All that shit's fixable. Messed my phone up. Okay, well, I don't really need a phone right now anyways. I'm on the computer trying to figure this out. I'm learning a new trade. You know, this is like going to school. So you got to make the best out of it. And that's just, you know, hey, whatever you're going through in life, if that's the case, just, you know, try to make a game out of it. Look at it from a different perspective. Because if you look at something bad like this as your baseline, like this is just normal everyday operating procedure, then what can ever win? What can ever beat you? Nothing. Because the people that are coming at you don't have the time or the resources or the mental fortitude or the skill set, because they're doing it the easy route. I just did this shit on hard mode. And I hadn't even used Linux. Like, damn, man. Backtrack. And I wasn't even good then. I was terrible. Like, I can't even make multiple directories off of a desktop into another folder on the command line. Like, I was just struggling. But you learn. And then you learn that there's a lot of tricks. You think that you're the owner root of an account, but these bash scripts are like, I don't know, 6 pages long, and they're all colored and so obfuscated. It's so confusing. Do this, but that, or that, and you can't really tell because there's colors you can't see. And when you think that the color shows up and you're red, oh, you're root. It got me so many times. There's a whole nother layer to another blue and another red, and then a Sioux red, and then then you go down to until you're into a strict bash shell that says root. You can guarantee that you're there. So don't just assume because it's something like looks pleasing, coloring wise, because that's what gets you in trouble with this stuff. If you just avoid graphical, you'll win most of these situations because they can't really do anything unless you're just initializing it. But man, it's hard. Okay, so incident impacted multiple house owners, including myself, residing, blah, 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 blah. Affected parties, elderly, 74-year-old senior citizen, 2 minors, son and daughter. Over the course of approximately, at the time of the report when I got it back, was 70 days. It's been, 90-something days now. Yeah, because I streamed the night before, and the people that actually hit me, you can go to my other account. You can see the people I played with. It's there. It's all there. You can see me get pulled. You can see 4 people join, and it's just them shifting. And you can see me get kicked out and then join back through a CDN relay to a non-Premier server. Yeah. For what? A couple $100 in skins, man? Come on now. Like, what's it worth? Risking what you're risking. It's either got to be personal at that point. I don't know. I wouldn't waste my time over a couple $100. What a fucking waste. Persistent threat, APT, activities including but not limited to unauthorized payload generation, network hijacking via local host, ransomware pre-staging. In response, I initiated full forensic preservation measures to capture volatile and static data prior to any further system degradation or contamination. Attached, you'll find blah, 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 blah. So I've got disks. I've got all of the original USB drive that I got from the factory computer company. I have that information when I called. I don't have the stuff from October, but I was able to duplicate the same process with them several times. And one of the times of which I was recording Wireshark on a wire. I was using Wireshark to record my internal network through my loopback because it was shared externally. I was able to see my Gmail account wasn't even reaching outside. It was being managed locally because we shared the same loopback. We shared the same IP address at broadcast. And so did the Zendesk company that they were spoofing that probably handles this computer company's like tech support request or like warranty requests. So there's very well another layer there, but I don't care. Whoever's more responsible is more responsible. And I think it has to be at the root source of it, and I did message and try to like figure it out, and I still don't really know how to proceed, man. I really don't. Like, I'm kind of like hurting. You know what I mean? Like it's been a rough go. Financially, hell, I'm almost about to lose some things. Which, hey, if I do, that's fine. I'll get it back. I'll go do what I did the last 90 days somewhere else. I did, that's how I started in the car business at 18 years old. We didn't get a paycheck if you didn't sell a car. So if you didn't sell a car, you stayed 90 hours a week. And then you kind of develop that muscle, and you just know, you have no doubt in your mind, you can just make it happen. And that's something I've been grateful to have, just having to be trial by fire kind of thing. But so I've got a bunch of paperwork, but let's get into the juicy stuff here. I've got the the ratings and everything, but it's a rating 9 out of 10 on NIST. Let's see. And this isn't considering that this isn't all just been some sort of like big game somebody's fucking with. No, I'm joking. If it is, it's the worst game ever. Event severity 0 to 10, and there's no check. Nobody's popping out and handing me any, dollars yet. Event severity 0 to 10, notes and sources. Hardware arrives pre-infected. That's a level 9. Supply chain attacks reports. This matches supply chain compromise profiles. System exhibits long-term anomalous behavior, over 70. That's a 7 out of 10. Persistence consistent and advanced persistent threat, APT dwell times. Loopback. 127 at home, used to mask payload communications, and it was. Mitter 8, application layer, protocol, web traffic known, covert channel tactic. So when you start talking about Tor, you start talking about stuff like that with proxy chains, that's sharing through a loopback, right? Or like you're chained to somebody. Well, think about that, but you're just given, you're the only person that's buying the service, and you're the person that's taking all the risk at the bottom of it. Because if the computer company comes back and they're like, hey, so-and-so was doing this or on your network, who do you think they're going to come talk to? The person that pays it and is registered to. So that's why I had to go and do what I had to do, because I'm not going to get put in a situation where somebody's doing some anything illegal. I'm not going to get brought down for it. So I would have went anyways, because it's the right thing to do. And once I started realizing this thing was a lot bigger than me and there was a lot of moving components that I couldn't figure out, I had to reach out for some help. So, all right. So what else do we have going on? Wireshark captures show internal generation of external codes. RMA emails, level 9 on the NIST, because you can't even communicate. And the communications that are coming back to you, they're not spoofed. They're perfect. There's nothing wrong with them, because it's not technically an email. It's a Photoshop. You know what I'm saying? So like, you're just giving them the information out of your wallet like a driver's license. So I noticed, like, maybe I was like, I'm not going to recover my Steam account. I'm just going to like ride it out. But when this thing started getting like kind of crazy, I was like starting to look back at it, and I know Valve software, Steam powered. I knew there was something with that right there. But it had the logo like TLS checked and everything. So I looked at it and I sent them my last Steam card. But I didn't send them like the last. I think I might have actually sent them the last 4 digits or something. I think you have to send them 6 or 8, and you have to send the last 2 or give them a debit card number. So what I did was, after I realized it was kind of like not Steam, because I realized they were answering at a certain time of the night, like it was an automated kind of thing, and it was always really, really impersonal, which, I don't really think I've ever had any dealings with Steam over the phone, but it just didn't feel right. So asked for a number, couldn't talk to nobody, couldn't get nobody on the phone there. So I was like, I'm going to test the waters here real quick. I sent, over the course of probably 10 days, 12 expired, canceled debit cards and old driver's license. I sent them all kinds of bullshit. Because, hey, fuck you too, right? And I hope you go run it, and then that's a way that they catch back up to you later, or you already got caught. I know that I turned in 8 names for some local people here that were, somebody tried to get phones in my name. Somebody was using my dead dad's information with my mom's social, which predates some of this stuff, but you kind of start finding all this stuff out. And then, there's just a lot of it, right? I'm not saying it's all directly to one person, but you can kind of lump it in together because it's all shitty. And they have no regard for your health. That's the craziest thing. Is my dad died last year. He fell on the house and hit his head. If this has been going on that long, that could have been a direct correlation of why he was so dizzy. Because we're in his room where he was at after he had his, got out of the hospital and everything, and had to go through, hospice and home and all that shit. He got to doing pretty good, but just never had any energy and feeling good. he was laying right next to that damn router. It was on the table, like on the stand. And if that was the same level, because it affects me, I'm not like the most like healthiest person ever, but I'm also not 78 years old or whatever. So, you know, you just start thinking about it like in a perspective of like, what is the cost for a few $100s? Sometimes it ain't about money. Actually, most of the time it's not. That's how you know who you're dealing with, depending on how they handle it or what they do when nobody's looking. Everybody's got issues, whatever, but morally, what do you do? New hardware was purchased and deployed immediately upon deployment. Persistent but low visibility anomalies were noted, including unexplained network traffic and operating. Oh, wait. Oh, I read this. Okay. So my chat GPT logs during this thing is awesome. It writes it like it's a movie script. So it's just like you're ghost riding the whip. I'm like, oh, word? Cool. So when they came in and they started hitting me, they came back that second night because I think they realized I started grabbing network logs, or they didn't take me fully down. They didn't get it all the way off because I kind of intervened at some point. So came back, and then the second time they came back, I was already pushing myself into a situation to put myself in some sort of own containerized environment. And there's a website that I went to, and there's a nice, you always know who you're dealing with when they give you disclosures about what it is, and you have to agree to it before you do it, because they're covering themselves legally, which means that they're probably pretty professional, or there's something else involved with it, right? So I was kind of skeptical about it, but I had no choice. Like, I was like, there's just nothing else I can do. Chat GPT was driving me in that direction, so I feel like there was like some power forces there, and it sucked. I thought I ruined myself, but I was already ruined. I was already in the hole. That move was probably the only thing that kept me going in the right direction, because I don't think that they could realize, like, why are we still all stuck together? And I could never make sense of, like, I'm just booting into RAM. How do I have 300,000 file folders? Well, because it's all shared virtually across those sessions. That's how they, I guess, do it with bots. I don't really know. And then also, I couldn't even get on Twitch. I'm probably not even on there right now, or under my account right now. So one of the, like, so when I made a brand new account, it said that I was alive for 47 hours. Keep in mind, I have not been able to stay operational longer than 24 hours. So what the fuck is that about? It's like they were using my services, but I don't use my personal computer for anything but gaming. I reformat a lot. They probably thought there was going to be something else here. I was getting all kinds of like paperwork from like a car dealership that I worked for like a week, and then I, went back to where I was because they didn't, just things don't work out. I get retirement paperwork, like I have a 401k from them. I never even worked past 7 days. So I don't know, weird. But yeah, this is a lot. And then like mail's still getting routed funny, phones are getting a little bit better. So this is still, it's a process. It's got to work itself out, but it's a long process. So what should I cover first? How am I booted right now? Good question. So right now I have no consistent let me turn off this background. It's starting to kind of bother me. Now this thing's a pirate ship, I'm gonna tell you. Where is the visual background? Let's do it. Oh, that's busy. All right, that's not a good angle there. Wow, this is harder than it looks to look at the screen and point it at the same time. The camera's just not doing real well. Because I'm on like a fail-safe mode, so then there's like a lot of quality issues, but I've got this thing all pulled apart. So I've got a graphics card in there, which I'm not even really 100% certain that that's the actual graphics card. I think that there's a possibility it could be like the model before, because if you look at it, and let's see if you can see it in here. Do you see how this thing is? I don't want to ask y'all's opinion. This doesn't look as sexy as the MSI cards that I see. But man, they got the thing lit up nice. They got this big old intercooler. Let's take a good look at this thing. Look how big this thing comes out. It takes up the whole box. And this is a mini ATK board. It's the smallest board. And this is the biggest damn box I've ever seen. There's 2 terabytes, 500 gigs, and then I've got about 12 USBs. And they're all serve a different purpose. Now, I tried to plug in one of them last night for a couple of reasons. I wanted to try to get some persistence because I'm tired of taking, it taking me 2 hours to boot just to get online because you got to set up these parameters. Not that long, but it takes a minute. So going through all that, it takes a while. Did all that. And then, yeah, it just takes a long time. So I plugged in last night, and I just started getting hit again, right? But it seems like that's what they were waiting on. They were just waiting for somebody to pounce, and I just needed to make that move. You just got to do it at the right time, or know who they are. But that's just hard. It's easier said than done because I didn't even really know what was going on. I really don't even know if that is the case. I just know that I feel like that. So that's what I'm going to go off of. Let's see what that looks like. That looks like trash. It looks like trash. Okay, anyways. So, went over that. What's next? Sorry, it's been a minute, so it's going to take me a while to kind of get my bearings back together. Oh, man. I keep saying, shit, that's crazy. But, yeah, so booted into RAM only. So what I do is I'll load an encrypted USB. These ransomware companies, they put encryption locks like on a swap. So they swap you into an encrypted, partition or whatever, and then it password prompts you. So that's why you're stuck and you can't get into anything. Unless you set up the parameters in a certain situation. If you hit the keys at the right period of time and you do the series of moves correctly, there's not doing anything that's not able to be overridden by local user root. Local user control is always going to trump anybody else if they know what they're doing, because the fact is, I can pull the damn cord out of this thing. You can't do that across the internet. Now, with some of this management stuff, you can do some things, but still, they're not going to have the ability to move like I move. It's just not going to happen. They can't. All I got to do is clearly signal that I have enough time to kind of get past it. But the LPSS thing, you can brick it pretty easily by loading into RAM, because that's where I think that the squash file system that I was using was labeled. It was labeled as read-only. It was getting loaded into RAM. So I couldn't ever actually get real control of the computer. And, man, I spent way more time than I'd like to admit trying to figure that out. Because I was a little bit operational there for a minute like that. And I think they were kind of letting me make it. And then, I think that at some point, I don't really know what was the big rub about the 900 and something ports they had open that I couldn't use one on a computer that I bought and paid for, on a service that I bought and paid for, on all this stuff. What kind of ignorant shit is that? Not even giving me it's the type of ignorant shit that people put shit in your CPU line. Oh, and there's another law that they've broken. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, dude, it starts getting pretty 30 years, you know what I'm saying? But what they start doing is, if they get in trouble for this, and they got a 99% conviction rate, they get them to tell on the next person. That's how they're so successful, and everybody tells on everybody. Ain't nobody ever your friend in this game at all, and you're never codependent on it. Don't ever be codependent on anybody until you're the codefendant. That's it. Because it ain't mutually exclusive. They'll rat on you before, especially people that are some sort of figure, or they think that they're a figure, or whatever. Maybe have a little more money, maybe have some pull. They'll roll on you. Guarantee it. Locked up, you call collect. You get home, you call collections. And ironically, they call it corrections. So it's a real problem. Been down that path. I've lived a lot of different lives within this life that I've, been in. But, I like to think that I'm a little bit more well-rounded for it. And I'm trying to work on it every day. Little things here and there. But back to the computer thing. Still don't have any persistence on a drive. But I'll be honest with you, I was like, the whole thing I want to do is like, I want to get back and I want to play Counter-Strike. I just want to play Counter-Strike. But man, I'm going to tell you, that's the one thing that they took from me. And that sucks, man, because I've loved that game. I had a 4-digit CD key when it first came out. It was the year of my birthday. The year I was born. Or 1 over or something like that. It was a 4-digit WAN ID. I'm OG playing this game. And I'm not the best or anything. I have, maybe I get into it with people online or something and just talk a little shit. That's what it is. Definitely not what it should be for this, like at any point. But it's just, they've kind of stolen that from me. Somebody that's worked their entire life to support their kids as a single father, and now trying to help support my mother. She's lost my father after they were married for 54 years. So yeah, there's a lot. I can sit here on a soapbox and do all this all day. Everybody's got problems. But it's just, man, they just came and took some shit from me that I was like that was really helping me out. You know what I'm saying? Like I was trying to like kind of find a different path and stay away from some things. I didn't want to go down a path I went before, with just getting mixed up with stuff. And I wanted just to be within my devices and just try to be a different person for a minute. I deal with people all the time. I just kind of wanted to hang out. I wasn't allowed. Some gatekeeper told me I wasn't allowed. Some unofficial gatekeeper made a decision. So, thou shall not pass. Well, motherfucker, I passed. Passed straight past your dead ass, whatever, in those 000s. Anyways, the computer's probably never going to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's never going to actually be without an issue. Like at all. Oh, is this what we're doing right now? Somebody's playing with my camera. Yeah, so I still got some ghosts in the wires. But it's funny at this like ground level, everybody's just in and out of each other's shit like all the time. Like it's just crazy. Like everybody's just like maneuvering around. People come, people go, people change their names on a dime, and then like they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna come help you," and they try to like. It's just all gamey. It's interesting, you know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, but trying to think, what else do I got here? If you want to get into some files, let's get into some files. So this account that I have up here, I'll pull it up. It's not the actual one that I'm on. It's just that was the one that they fell for. And somebody this morning when I was streaming, like they haven't caused me enough pain and suffering, is using speech synthesis. And this person's also been listening and like kind of like using a port on my COM port to like listen. It's like an exploit or whatever. They've patched it, I think, recently. But I guess somehow it bled through and I could see some of that comment come through. And they were trying to report me for violent content, sexual exploitation, hate speech. Just all kinds of stuff. Haven't I gone through enough? When are you going to just lose? Or when are you going to want to call a draw? Like, you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. Right? Right. Because you're not meant to be tied into somebody at this amount of time. Especially if you're the one that's done something you're not supposed to. So I did I did the best I could to like not do any jicky shit, which is really hard for me. But when I do jicky shit, it's like I'll go hit F5 refresh on the FBI Gov page with 3 other people in there that are attacking me at the same time. That's what I do. I'll take it in the deep, like I did DHS yesterday. Sometimes you just got to let them know that there is cards that you can play, whether you have scripts or not, or whether you just got to cut manual wires. There's systems in place that you can do to get help. So you got to use them, but don't use them like for the wrong way. Just be careful I mean, I went through a lot to like make sure, like, okay, it's time to pull the parachute. But you know, I think it was at that time, anyways. It was pretty much over. Uh, because as I was doing that, it was right after I had plugged in a drive that they definitely wanted, which I don't even know what's on it. Could be nothing. It could have might not even cloned. They wouldn't even know if I even had anything. That's the thing. I mean, I don't really know. It's hard to say because I'm not on the other side, and I'll probably never get any sort of um, feedback on it. I would appreciate that more than anything. Like, yeah, somebody was in the wrong and they feel fucked up about it. I get it, man. Like, I've done fucked up shit too. Well, let's talk about it. Like, let me know. Like, where did you get me? Where do I need to fix it? I mean, because that's where I'm at this point. Now, not everybody's going to be that way, and I'm sure, I can't do nothing to stop the emotions that are in force. If anything does happen, that's your decision you made, and you got to live with it at the end of the day if something does happen. But as far as me pursuing it any further, other than just monetarily with the replacement of this computer and what I've lost during the transaction and filing for insurance, I'm not gonna. I don't have the time to chase these people around. It's not important to me. They can keep watching. They can keep chasing me. I guess I'm not interesting. I'm not really, but I could be bothered. You know what I mean? Because I gotta get on with it. I think I'm gonna try to study a little more. I've read 2 books during this whole process. Went to the library, which still exists, surprisingly. It's actually pretty nice. Even the libraries, PCs, all have jank web code now. All of them. I had to switch one of them from Internet Explorer over. So there's like a whole vector right there. These IT guys at these like libraries, they don't know. They're running so many different things. They don't know. But there's no reason you should be using an Internet Explorer with a Chrome because it's using the Explorer's, base settings. And it's like, it's just leaving you open. So if you're going through doing your taxes, well, guess what? That person is keylogged all that. But or whatever other creative methods they could be using, I don't really know. There's multiple different angles, different scams, whatever. But people that are usually going to the library and using a computer, they're probably without the means to do it any other way. And it's expensive to be broke. That's one thing you got, you learn, like, you're going to get taken advantage of no matter who you are by these individuals. And that's like the really shady thing about it, because some people could end up losing their home, hell. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just with just for no regard at all. And I guarantee you these people have money. Like, probably were brought up with a little bit, just because I can tell the arrogance. Uh, Usually people that are brought up and had a rough in childhood and had to like kind of crawl through it, they appreciate that shit later in life. They don't take it for granted, and they don't do that type of shit to other people. In my experience, but I'll get off of it. I think I've made my point. But let's see here. I'm gonna take me a little break, see real quick, just a few minutes. I'm going to bring my screen down. I guess I could put music on. I'm not really certain how that works anymore. It's been so long. But hey, I think I can get it passed from the internet. Guys, I just don't know where to go get it. We'll do this. I wonder if I'm even on Twitch. I don't even know. It wasn't working earlier. It's like blocking me before I get there. And then I need to get yeah, I just gotta get persistent. That's the next layer, is persistence. Just once I know that I'm not gonna just restart the process over, because it's kind of a pain in the ass. Not kinda. It is. Well, let's go talk to Sonny. I've known him since 07, back when he had long hair and screamed into a microphone. Let's see.
In business, you only get one chance to make a great
I'll
first impression.
I'll be right back. That looks like crap. Oh my gosh. Sorry, this mouse. I'm trying to be careful about sharing my web address or anything because I didn't realize how easy that stuff was. Okay, I'll be right back. Anyways. Before we get to clicking around, now that we're back, I'll just kind of go over some topical stuff. If I'm a little slow doing it, I'm just trying to be careful. I'm not sharing anything that I shouldn't. Because the last thing I want to do is give anybody an idea how to or do anything with stuff that's customized, right? Like that's a problem. So I might have to like creatively get around some of it or figure that out. I'm not a professional at this. I'm not certified for any of this stuff, which is a problem, and I have all of it. So just think about that for a second. You've got a million of those people out there just like this. So the interesting thing about it is it seems like when you're getting, a Linux distribution, especially like Kali is an offensive distribution. It is all gas, no brakes. The only thing that you got is the ability to set it up front. So if you don't know how to use a terminal really well, you don't know how to use pre-parameters, you don't know how to use your TT sessions and stuff like that, don't do it. Just don't. Go something that's friendly, like a Parrot. It's more defensive or something. But honestly, I would try to steer clear, maybe, of some of them, just in general right now, because there's an overwhelming amount of individuals that are pretending to be the repo managers, like a repository. So when you're going to download off of some of these mirrors, some of those have been hijacked. Some of them are experimental mirrors. Some of them are bleeding edge, which are untested. They're unvetted. So there's a lot of stuff out there that you might not realize. And then updating and like installing, I still won't update or install. I don't have anything installed to. But even just updating and purging the packages, I won't, because when I try to do it, there's a file somewhere I got to go suss out in some weird setting, and I'll show you. You'll never see anything as this well, like hidden layered. It's very creative, very, very creative. Just when you think that you've gotten to where your destination needs to be, you're another mile away. And what I've realized about this situation is, for me personally, because the way that I've always used computers, I don't really use anything to like harden me to it anyways. I've never used any antivirus or security. I don't recommend that. But in this situation, all that's useless to you, because it doesn't know that it needs to protect against something that's being told that it's fine. And it's not even really the antivirus, it's an icon. And when you click on it to go update, it just updates 400 different applications at a time and run times, memory times you. And then you rinse and repeat the process again until you either put in real information and let it go, or they find another way to use you. What can I use you for? But yeah, so there's that. But the first thing I think we'll probably get into here. Let me see. We'll go over what their original, or the original title, whoever that might have been, don't know. But it seems like the first person cloned or compiled. We'll go over theirs. I have the other one on another distribution that's quite different. So I know there's like several different layers of people involved. And plus, the supply chain thing, being the PC manufacturer, the tech support company, or whatever, they don't need any tools. They don't need a distribution. There's nothing to clone, because they're not technically anywhere but just there. They're like behind you, right? Like in like they're riding on the back of your. They're on the pegs, and they just got their hand on their shoulders. And then if you've got something like I do, which is dumb, booting into, that gives them every single offensive tool possible, they're gonna use them all. Got to catch them all. They're gonna use them all, and it's way harder to take them off than it is just to click a button. Because if they've got any ability, they've known how to like maneuver around within the groups and like superiority and stuff and things like that. But if you know how to do it right, you don't even need to really persist yourself within any sort of like escalation or like authoritative role within these computers when you're at it from a boot standpoint, like I was, like into like a virtual environment or a server or whatever. Because if you just know how to maneuver around in there, you can take that access, and so can somebody else. It's not mutually exclusive. You lock yourself out, you're locking them out too. So it's kind of a dead man's game on that. So if you just kind of keep yourself like chilling, make sure it doesn't like you set a password. Usually what happens is it just copies a script copies another password on top of it with permissions higher than you. And the problem with that is like even if you're root, they've got their group ID set differently to like be over you. So then you just screwed yourself. So that's like another little thing you gotta like weave in and out. But when I first started booting up with this thing, like I was able to get in. I was able to get online for a minute. I'm just doing some of the old school tricks of like, and I'll show you. The whole bar at the bottom, the whole like menu bar in the screen, every single icon is a launcher that launches something with explicit shortcut key commands that just automatically do it. You know what I'm saying? So like it's really, really hard. If you make one step wrong, you got to start all the way back over from ground zero. Man, why is this thing being so goofy? No, okay, there we go. I hate that wallpaper. Okay, cool. All right, so next thing's next. All right. So let me pull it down here real quick. I don't want to. Boot anything up here real quick. All right, so first thing we'll go over. Let me make sure I'm clear here. There's not. I mean, they did really good about like hiding who they were anyway, so it's not like I'm telling on anybody because they only have to really come at you like once, and then it's all automated and botted from there on out. Very rarely they come back like a second spin. But with the specific exploit from the computer manufacturer, the problem was that thing is going to connect regardless of what parameters you set, unless you figure out what that exploit was. And I found out way too late that I had two Wi-Fi cards on my computer. One on the back of the dual band Wi-Fi Bluetooth on the back side of the motherboard that is actually exposed behind a partition, and then the one that's actually hardwired into the board through LAN guard, which has post on it. But you know, I always thought it was interesting. I tried to use that Wi-Fi thing one time, and it came with a huge antenna. Like, I mean, and if anybody else has this computer, they might be able to answer a question for themselves here. Like, it's really interesting because I've never seen the most egregious Wi-Fi adapter. I mean, the thing is like, if it ain't 4 or 5 foot long, the cord that screws in and then has an antenna that's like this big off the top of like a shark antenna. I'm like, what the hell is this thing for? Well, it makes sense now because people are going to use that because not a lot of people use hardwired anymore. It's just not convenient, or they use like some other, you know, adapter system or something. But just think about anybody that having that. You're just advertising, hey, come hop in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's there for you. It's definitely the scammer's chassis build over here. Man, it's just wild. I want to say who it is, but I better not. You know what I mean? Like, even though they've had opportunities, I don't really see what the point is at this stage in the game. You know, it's going to be up to somebody else to determine that. But I'm not that type of guy that's going to go running and telling and all that shit. It's just what it is at this point. You know, I had a boss one time tell me, the dildo of karma never comes lubed. Yeah. I mean, it'll definitely hurt. But maybe it'll be enjoyable at some point if you get used to it enough. Wherever they're going. Yeah, so, damn, I'm just having a hard time kind of still shaking some of this off, to be honest. So, what I was saying a second ago about this, like, let me open another one real quick. Okay, so you see how it's blue up here at the top? Oh, well, that's not how I don't have my key set. Yeah, I have to like reset everything, like every time I boot. Non-persistent. It's not fun. But we'll handle that. We'll handle that soon enough. There's some time. Zoom in. Enhance. 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 All right. Preferences. green on black. Hey, let's do it like they do, you know, on the TV shows. But, you know, I did see a meme that was pretty funny. It was like somebody obviously like talking about web exploits versus like, you know, what I was having to do, like the old fashioned type shit. Man, it ain't no fun when all they have to do is copy, paste, and remove a few things, replace a few things. You're having to type out, you know, all kinds of just to get there, and then you mess up. You gotta go back. So it's really but it's good. I'm glad I had to do it this way because I think I'll appreciate it a little bit more, and also you also have that skill set. So I'm kind of glad. Kind of glad. Just wish it didn't happen under the circumstances that it did. But hey, sometimes that's, you know, things get forged in that they're just irreplaceable by that pressure within a moment. So, you know, it's going to make me a better person overall for it and more knowledgeable. So, I mean, I can't argue with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just, so like on this line right here, you know, you got your pseudo line, which is like an authority, right? So I was just doing this. All the while, there's a script that runs a backwards forward search that removes all that stuff once you close your terminal. Even if you purge it, even remove it, it doesn't matter. It's done. So open the same terminal again. Now I'm root. Okay. So you hit sudo, and then you can hit a little command there, and you can kind of get yourself into a certain situation. And then you can, there's another color combination here that'll take you to a different color. And then there's the sudo if you set the password to it. And then you can drop down to a bash shell. And that's like the true like root. But that's where they're already at with the exploit, like that they're at. They're already like the true end all be all of authority, but they can't really change anything too much real time. There has to be like some sort of like, you know, going ons behind the scenes of like, you know, tricking somebody into do it. I guess you just can't really. I've never had to really hack anybody. You know, I've never done it. Never had the desire to do it. I've always just been a really big believer in if you own something and it's yours, you know, you should have your privacy and you should be left the fuck alone. I mean, this is a slice of pie that's like it's yours. You should be able to get on and use your devices. You shouldn't have people just willy-nilly stealing services and then coming up with great ideas when they hear your phone calls or something. It's just bullshit. You should be using it to catch like, you know, the people that really deserve to be caught in a certain section of this internet and people that do the types of things that they do. But I don't know. It's just it's defeating when you kind of like, man, I can't believe people are like that. But I should know. You know, the car business is kind of it's a good tell, you know, of like people in general. But anyways, so let's talk about this little dot line here. And I believe this is the first one. So you've got like a period that'll call like your first directory category. And there's cache, config, GNU, Java, KDE, local, Mozilla, and PKI. And in this Mozilla, oh wait, I hit another period. Let's see. I'm already starting off on all cylinders. Man, my neck is gonna be killing me. Man, yeah. I'm getting old. All right, so the Mozilla folder, which is internet, obviously, right? This was a really, really big issue. I've never seen one that had this much like issues. Everything, and when I mean everything. Font, size, save my history, use WebRTC, use extensions. Everywhere you looked in that Mozilla Firefox was a trap because it thrives on the fact that you're going to get graphical and want to like use your computer for what you should be able to use it for. And you're going to get hooked on it. It's just like, can you like triage it like real time? And you can. It's just, but man, you set off a lot of chain of events. It gets to a point to like where you start getting these command not founds that are just bullshit commands because you removed a folder that had permissions on it and there's actually like a fail safe for them to keep you at bay. It's really sneaky. It's actually like probably like the best like way to train on something, to be honest. Like because it's just like it kept me pretty engaged, like almost like a game. But affecting me personally too. But I play for keeps. Nah, it is what it is. Okay, so extensions. Let's see what that's got. So here's your extensions for the Mozilla category. X hex. Or is this even? Yeah. I might have already removed him. That would have been really genius of me. Yeah, I've already removed that extension. So there was like 4 or 5 extensions. Dark Reader RTC was one of them. I always have my stuff on the dark font, so like dark background. But this one specifically like defaulted that way, right? Which was cool. I mean, I was like, shit, looks good. But this works opposite of like old school tricks. Like you always think like high contrast, darker, whatever, like was kind of the play, because you could see like the icon like a little bit differently if it was granulated, or at least that's kind of how I thought of it a little bit. But yeah, so on this one, it's like I said, it's everything too. And some of that's like there to kind of like trick you. But within all that, you got to switch your font straight off the rip. You gotta get in there, change your clock. So where I started finding some success is I outclocked them. Like I just was playing with the dates a lot. I was Back to the Future. I was back in 1969, which they wouldn't let me do. It was 1970. I think it's the earliest date they put. But I found the best success with the Y2K trick, the 1999 trick, which actually worked in this application because in 99 it was just bullshit, I think. But it worked for me somehow, some way. Like I was just like, I'm gonna keep putting in like 12:31 at 11 o'clock. It takes me like an hour. Maybe we'll see. Like I've done it so many times at this point. It was, why not? Let's try it. You know what I mean? I even tried removing every single directory from root, like no preserve. Doesn't work. Like it breaks you out completely, and then you can't go nowhere. So like this thing is like smart. Like kudos to the person that did it. And I'm sure it's like a collection of efforts, like different programs and stuff. But there's a lot of custom stuff too that's pretty impressive. That you just don't know until you know, right? But yeah. So the extensions. So if you have a Mozilla right now and you've had any issues with any malware, look out for the RTC, because that's real time. Is it real time? Probably real time connection. It's through your DRM, right? Digital Rights Media Manager. That's like a new vector, like their auxiliary channel, in your video card. But the Discord uses that web RTC, so you want to set that to like manual, never automatically, and you don't really want to be doing any like web streaming like I'm doing right now on a web browser, because you're just giving up too much information. You can make a mistake pretty darn easy, So I've learned some stuff too within the process of doing it. But yeah, so that one right there, like this Mozilla extension, it can go bye-bye, right? So I'm just gonna get rid of it, and I'm just gonna remove the whole directory. Oh, comma. Man, yeah, I'm having a hard time here. Can't see nothing. All right, well, I'll move it later. But anyways, okay, so this is getting into your bin. And there's another folder that's in between that period and this one. And then there's another one that's bracketed in with like an asterisk, creatively. They all are important folders, not necessarily like roles within the system, but they have a level. It's like it's like an onion. There's different levels to it. You got to peel them back, and you got to do them at the right cadence. I can't say how many times. 3, 4, 5 hours on the computer. One move back down a baseline is defeating, but it also kind of like makes you want to like I'm driven in that way. From like sports background, I played AAA hockey growing up. I played for a long time, and I wasn't quite good enough to get to that next step. But I played at a high level, played team sports. I was always really driven, which just kind of etches it into you. And then with my personality, I'm always like, if there's like a goal, like let me get to it. Like that's when it's fun for me. Like if I can just get to that, you know, like, and then I'm miserable until I find something else I can get to, and then rinse and repeat, and then insecure all the way through every part of it, crippling. But you know, this is what it is. That's me. But okay, the bin is got a lot. So all of this right here is just in one file, and this is your X11 file. And this one is sneaky because you think that the main directory to this thing is, dude, this fucking background is pissing me off. Is somebody still back behind me and I just don't know it? Gee. It's like the shadow people are still hanging out with me. No, they've been giving me somebody to talk to. I'm like, nah, there's people on the computer. I'm not talking to myself. You're crazy. Yeah. Man. What an experience. Yeah, this is needs to get brought down a little bit here. So we'll keep it cool, like right around there. All right, so light's blinding me. And you know, you probably can't see it because this makes no sense why I've got it like this. So let me fix myself here. I think what I'll do is I'll bring this down here. Here, I'm working on it right now. Oh, and they ruined my $400 Samsung monitor too because it had Bluetooth and it just popped the bulb or something. And yeah, so I've lost a lot of equipment through this. Several computers done. They were older. Still, it doesn't matter. That's why I was like fighting to hold on to this thing, you know, because it's like all I had left. Stinks. Allow. Okay, and this background's boo boo. Boo boo background. It keeps changing on me. Changes. Okay, can we see? Kind of see now. I should have found some of this stuff up front, but whatever. I still haven't gotten real super comfortable with like what I want to set up because I've just been so like, you know, go, damage control, stuff like that, you know. All right, so if we look over here, this first file that you see, and that makes me a little bit too dark there, so we'll keep it down. Sorry about the issues here. We're learning together. Let's change the color on this thing a little bit. That wouldn't get move solid rods maybe. Yeah, and the fonts and like different ways that you set it up within the config because these people are like writing on top of your screen are controlling. They have it set up that way on purpose, like certain like icon themes. Like that was kind of a trip. But a lot of this stuff's been removed. There's asterisks next to them. So that means I've had them removed. I don't necessarily know that I can like go in there and check it out or whatever, but it should still let me kind of tell you a little bit about it and like a process if I can kind of correctly remember what it was doing. But you can tell this is just one bin folder and I'm on RAM only. And I think I said I had like, I don't know, 40, 60, 70,000 different. I mean, it's a lot. I have a lot of folders, more so than I should if it was just a boot on. All right, let's see here. Yeah. So there's one folder that's so buried in here, it's crazy. Maybe I did that wrong. Ugh. All right, let's make the food anyways. Man, what is going on here? It's like somebody's I'm gonna keep blaming it. Every time I do something wrong, I'm blaming on the people that are I'm like fucking hackers getting me right now. All right, so bin and boot. All right, so first one is this little like bracket, right? And that bracket represents everything that's encompassed within this folder because that's how it calls in the set parameters. So you got the one password to John. It's a Python script. It's just like a John the Ripper. It just cracks the password with basic set information, which they probably already have because they've been sitting there watching it. And if you change it, chances are you're changing it and you're going to reuse some of the same information, which this program can be configured to kind of cut down the time. Based on that, they eliminate a lot of the guesswork. So that's what one password is. 2 to 3, 2.7. Don't worry about it. 411 top them is another thing we're not really worried about. That's just like a package that's going to top you if you're into that kind of thing. 7-zip. 7-zip to John. So they zip it and then they zip directly to them. This person, John. Or John the Ripper, if that's what you want to call to it. In this unique case, that guy's name is John. But whatever, can't really prove it by just looking at the file. But that's not how that thing is labeled within that program, because that program is going to have its own file folders within its file folder. It's not going to be having it looking all janky. So always look for like capitalizations, because in Linux, it's not like capital means a whole, like all caps lock means different. So does lowercase. There are two different set of standards, so you have to like kind of pay attention for that. Okay, so app status, app armor. So app armor, and then there was app armor.d. And I guess the best way that I can like draw a line to like what this is, if you like, it's just like the Windows. It's just painted a different color in a different light. You have to think like trusted installer with Windows. Think of it like the same way with an application that's labeled one way, and then it has like some other weird permissible thing like that's off to the side. It's not necessarily higher authority. It's just harder to get to, or it's just not easily seen. So you can't really play some of the same games in Linux. It takes some of the power away, except for you can download about 47,000 apps in about 5 seconds on it. And it's called Huge Pages. Huge. So a lot of the stuff probably didn't use, but I can tell you by going through here. I mean, they literally clicked every button in the system. It felt like. I wish I could get a count, a running count of what all I hit with, so I can like cross it off a list. I mean, there was a lot, man. Like those own reaver attacks, it was 20 a day for 90 days, literally. Oh, you did that? Well, yeah, I did it myself. Shouldn't be having it in the first place. But they render themselves useless once you start moving the underlying stuff, so it's not really that big of a deal. Let's see. Next thing, App Armor exec. So this App Armor right here, this label AA, that is a fake App Armor. That's not the actual App Armor. And I don't even use App Armor. I don't know what the Okay. So 4,578 files in this one calling. So I think it'd be better to do it this way. So I went ahead and called all of them. You can see at the very, very top, there's an exclamation point. That's not something I've ever really known to have been. I don't think you can even save it in a file when you're making it. Let's see real quick. File manager. Yeah, I guess you can. You can't use slashes though. So, anyways, but there's creative ways to get around that with certain like scripts and stuff. But there's just a lot of ways to play this. It's not magic, right? But it is kind of like a magician. There's layers to it. There's David Blaine at the top of the ladder. You can't even explain what he's doing. That would be like some of this radio frequency signal package payloads on boot by speech synthesis and stuff. It's crazy. And then you've got the people that like just are playing permission games and like hiding things in folders. That's your like starter level individual, which I don't wrong. I mean, everybody does something. I'm not even at that level, so I mean, I can't even say nothing. I'm a kindergarten magician. What I am is I just start cutting things down. That's it. I'll just see if something don't look right to me. And I've been around queers long enough, and if it don't look right and I don't understand what it is, it's not that hard just to go in there, help, try to like figure it out for your own, do some like critical thinking, because I'm telling you, going back to like the chat GPT thing, especially for people that use it for malicious purposes, you're told on yourself already. That shit's saved. Better believe it. Somewhere. Tell you it isn't. It is. Everything's somewhere or nowhere. You got all these like customizable call commands, like the exclamation, the period, slash, the semicolon, which I don't remember getting into. And then you got the two brackets on, two brackets enclosed, two brackets open, and then the other squiggly thingy. I don't even know what it's called. And then you get into just some apps that are numbered and then alphabetical. So we'll just kind of go through here real quick. And it's not like probably have a whole lot of people asking me questions about it. I don't even know if the chat is even in there, but we'll see here. Sorry. Cheap viewers on streamboo.com. You know, I'm almost inclined just to see what kind of hooks they've got going on this site when I go to it. Do you want to theory craft with me real quick? Because I guarantee you, steamboo.com is going to be bullshit. So let's take a look together, shall we? But yeah, here's like my, Mozilla, and like right when you open it up, right at the jump, it has a HTML file that saves. That's already saved, like in your config. That looks like a website, like how there's like main loading, and that's just another way for it to call some more commands through a photo. You can only call so much at a time, right? Like you can't do it all, or maybe sometimes you don't have time to do it all. You have to kind of do it in stages. But let's see for a second. Let me think. What was that? Steamboo? Failed to initialize page. Please refresh and try again. 2025. All rights. Boo on Steam. Steam boo. This is Angle to Dusk. Hagi. Haji. Huji. Hujuba. That name is worthy of a Mac change. Okay? If you ever see somebody asking you for bots, and they've got a name that I'm telling you, you can't pronounce it, you need to change your name. Whether it be Russian or anything else, it's a Mac change. It's Mac change time. It's Mac attack. And does it help? Probably not, but doesn't hurt. But you can see right here, like what I was talking about, like my Mac ID. So I'm probably going to get probably wouldn't get So that's why I probably wasn't getting advertised or anything along those lines. So, you know, it's kind of frustrating in that right to be like, oh, damn, you know, this is what it is. So, yeah, see, I'm just keeping much hanging up here on the street. You know what I mean? Like, this is how you get yourself in trouble. Just like that. But, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, but it doesn't matter. Whatever. And then here's all this weird loopback configurations that they had set up to share the back end of my system. And I'll show you what the if the NTU hasn't been changed yet. It's insane. From what I understand, and somebody can tell me why I've got the whole network's NTU on one situation. Okay. Yeah, right here. It says it right, y'all. So, yeah, man, I just gotta, okay. We're gonna have to get smart here because this is terrible. And not having a regular screen sucks. Because even sometimes when I was in the boot parameters, I couldn't see the edge of the screen because of the TV. So I was just like, don't know if I was spelling it right. Just, hey, we'll just see what happens. Silliness. Okay, so next thing. MTU 65. Where did I just see it? Damn. Oh, it's up here at the top, man. I'm blind, man. All right, so right here. I apologize. I just want to be conscious that if I'm going to talk about it, let's see it. But let's share it over a little bit more. And then maybe come over here. Yeah, let's go over here. And then let's do this. Oh, no. No, don't do it to me. Okay, so yeah, you can see my IP, but it doesn't matter at this point. What are they going to do? Make me just hit the reset button? Once you says my low, shared at 65,536 MTU. There's some presets in there. As you can tell, the fastest connection is the Etho connection, which I have is in a 10, or wait, it's a full duplex. So, I mean, it's fast. I've got pretty good internet. It's cheap. I mean, it's not expensive to get like really fast internet, especially where I'm at. I don't think I pay 60, 70 bucks a month or something. I'm not 100% sure, but it's under 100 bucks. And it's the fastest that I think you can get without like really, really getting into like a whole nother ball field. So the low 65,536. That's a crazy amount. That's 50, 60, 63,000 more than it should be. Consistent with the fact that like, okay, where's the calculator? And I may be wrong. Somebody can correct me if I am at some point. 65, but everything I've looked up seems like it's around 1,500 to 2,000, depending on what you're looking at or what the use is or what type of connection it is. So 65, 536, and let's just be gracious. Let's say it's these 2,000, right? And then let's divide that. Hey guys, come to my stream. Let's do math. My keys are all right, so let's do that divided by that 2,000. That's 31 individuals that are getting the same amount of fast traffic that I am, but that's not what they were wanting to do. They're using UDP, Skype, MDNS, LLDP stuff, multicast, all nodes, blah, 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 to just draw view or cultivate for whatever. I'm not going to sit here and theory craft on their intentions. That would be wasting time. So, this is what it is. So that's an egregious thing. That was the first thing I was like, what? It stood out to me.
And then I was like, okay, let's kind of look into that, do some research. And then it's still the same way, but I need to change it. I'm going to start choking it down. What I wanted to start doing is kind of start, some of this stuff maybe even like live at some point. Like I almost tried to go live the other night while I was kind of getting ahead, but man, I got a lot of resistance. And I was like, man, I just don't look like a fool having to restart so much if something does happen. So, because there's definitely a lot of that going on. But, we'll get through it. I want to find something kind of interesting to do. And whether I do this once every now and again or just for a few minutes here and there, I just think it's, something that might help me kind of get back into the mode of like reintegrating myself into civilization because, man, I have been a rat. I've been a cockroach in here. I ain't gone nowhere and done nothing. I didn't want it to, man. I've just been pissed. Mad at myself, really. But, yeah, it sucks. But anyways, so yeah, MT, that was the first thing I noticed. And I didn't notice that until, it's not the first thing I noticed. That's the first thing I noticed once I started getting booted into the system that was like, whoa. Because I usually disable like IP6 connections because that's the most exploited connection that you can have. There's just a lot of devices that connect through IP6 or connect through that same sort of like protocol. It's just easier for me in my brain if you have the ability to. Some like internet companies like Spectrum, they don't let you change it. Not from the router, not from a back-end system, which is fine because like me, the problem with the system I'm in, it's not the real website that you go to. And I'll show you what that is. Let's see real quick. Oh, hold on 1 second. I gotta see something real quick. Oh, never mind. I was confused. Okay, here's this right here. This is how they exploit. Oh shit, let me close this off so you can actually see this shit. What the hell just happened? Am I not supposed to show that? Is somebody telling me no? Is that a no move? See, this is what I don't know. This is what I'm talking about. Shit just randomly closing down. Somebody's like, nah, don't do it. Don't go there. We're not ready yet or whatever. But yeah, so I mean, maybe I need to rethink about what I was supposed to talk about here because if there's some stuff that's like going on that I'm just not really sure of. But anyways, so there's a website that was available that people could use that they're working on getting sorted, hopefully. But more so, the problem with that whole situation is those were individuals that did that on purpose for the situation. Because they just knew that it was something that was able to be done, whether they worked for the company or whatever. But it's a disaster relief deal, so somebody was able to just exploit that. And then my AT&T was just a fake internal HTTP. So like when you normally like type in your router or gateway, it took me to a .ha. You cannot convince me. I don't care if Mr. AT&T himself said that is our backend. I said you're a damn lie. Don't, or if it is, change it. You know what I mean? Like change it. Like now, like there's no reason if that is the case, and it's not, to have your domain or your login into this .ha. Like that's such a like blatant like middle finger in your face type situation. So goofiness. Goofies. Okay, so anyways, there's that. Let me pill through something else real quick and make sure I'm good. And I'm giving this way more thought than I probably should or they deserve. But still, I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Just because they acted like a certain way doesn't mean we have to. Leaflet That's an interesting deal that I probably won't get in either. And that's heat maps, but I don't know how it works, so it'd be bad for me to think of and speak about. All right, so what is happening? SBC Global, now AT&T. Okay, so then what service do I have? I have AT&T, so it's got to be, but mine's never said that. See, that's what I'm saying. I think that they got, okay, so here's how easy this could be. Somebody comes and installs equipment, they slap a QR code on the side of your router, and it's just a printed sticker with the same domain that other people have. And it's all a generic login. I mean, that's how easy it could be to like get into this. And I can tell you, I'm pretty sure the router I have is a router that's compromised because it's Cisco. And Cisco had some like weird thing going on. So it was even managed by KMDH or something along those lines. KMG is some company, right? And then there was another company. Dude, my name had been changed so many times. I don't know. One time it told me it was Verizon. That's my cell phone. So your guess is as good as mine. But I do need to see. Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. I see now. I see what that is. Okay, so anyways, should have shown that. See, this is what I'm saying. Like sometimes I'm doing things and I'm not really realizing that I'm just like putting it out there on Front Street. But you know, I'm probably going to take a step back and plan a little bit better for this, just because I think it'd be ill-advised for me to do it any other way than just to consider what would be appropriate to share or not. And plus, I need to try to like eat something. But you know, I would love to have some sort of like conversation with somebody that can just confirm or deny my mind, or like help me understand like this. You're right about this. You're on the right track. Here's where you kind of missed it. This is what, you know, or whatever, or maybe vice versa. Just like, I think there needs to be some open discourse on some things, because who really knows like the net sum of individuals that go through stuff like this. I mean, there's a whole world out there of people that, not just here, everywhere. I mean, I had help from all over the place, it seemed like, but that's also kind of misleading. So I don't know. It's just like, it's really tough to really know who's on your side, who's not. I had people come into my session because, like I said, when you're wide open like that and they can manage you and just get in through an SSH, and there's 100 different ways they can get in the way they got it set up, it's hard to know who's there to help and who's there to hurt. And there were several times people would appear there like they were there like a maintainer or something, and they would clean a few things up. I'd kind of leave them alone, not pay attention to them. It's just like somebody acting like they're shopping and then they're just going to steal when you turn your back. Whatever. It's just they're waiting for you to not look at them, turn their back. But I had one drop of configs in my folder, and the problem with that is that's the original like load up. That's the whole kit and caboodle of like how this thing is injected with the config file. So it's really interesting, you know, like how I find it interesting. Like if I wasn't so personally affected by it, it's interesting how you could take that piece of paper that's a config that's outside of what is authorized to be in there, because you can customize everything, right? And then it's used to screw you 6 ways from Sunday, or to keep you very, very protected through such things. So it can be used multiple applications. Just because it's set up funky doesn't mean the person that's operating it's funky. You just don't know their intentions. And that's something you got to understand. Like, you can't just jump to conclusions. Because I had many working theories. I promise you, I came up with every single one of them. I'm a very instinctual person, dealing with people in the car business and people telling themselves so much. You can find out a lot if you just listen and not listening through ports. Just do it the old-fashioned way. You know what I'm saying? I learned most of the stuff I've learned about the individuals and things that have happened through their tells within the system, through little things. Those little things add up. And then if you clock them over time. And, you know, it's kind of hard to cover up somebody that does content that has a video that's like 35,000 viewers on it. And then you voice about it, and that's the bot guy that hits you. But neither here nor there. It's not any, I mean, it's what it is. It's just, it happened, right? Whether they want to, nobody's going to ever admit to it. Because if they were, they would admit defeat at some point, or they would have called it a draw and walked away and then been like, hey, man, you know, fucked up. Because sometimes you can be like that. You can be that guy. You can be cool. But when you get offered that so many times and you're so full of yourself to think that you're some digital overlord, or you're never going to get caught because you're so secure, somebody's going to get you, and they will. I mean, I kind of thought that. I thought that I just could just reformat. What's the point? I was wrong. Just like they're wrong without that too. It's just, there's layers, there's levels to it. So anyways, the configs that are in here are fun. We're going to go over this, and I'm going to hop off. I'm not going to get real deep into it. But I just need to make sure. I don't think it's got any names or anything in it, because everything's pretty well, you know, hidden as far as names and stuff, because they're dropping these files. They're already doing everything to you. They don't really have to do nothing else. They just back out and they let everything else attack you from afar, which is usually queued through an IRC channel, which is people still use. I logged into one and it gave me an OpenStreetMap view, like a Google map. I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot that I don't understand that I have to unpack at some point when I can learn. But man, there's a lot that, you know, to consider. And for somebody to hit you with this, they consider it all. It feels as such. But okay, so automatically generated file. Do not edit. Well, go hook yourself. That's the beauty with Linux or within an operating system like this. I'm sure there's some other ones, possibly. But, you know, Linux or like another distro, you can do whatever you want to. Good, bad, or ugly. Put it in, see what happens. And it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad, or just no in the middle. It's either going to work or it won't. It's pretty black and white. But anyways, config CC version text. Nothing super telling on that. You start going through here. There's some Clang version, you know, GCC versions. I'm not really 100% sure with this, but these are all configured files that are built in. You got the LD load line stuff, which is kind of the spine of the config and the bootloading and bootstrap process. You got Rust C, you know, LLVM. It's a large language, or is that virtual model or language? Anyways, it's either AI or it's a virtual server. We could look at it, but I'm like I said, I don't want to dig into anything without knowing first. Config LLD, that's the Linux load line. I know that much because it was actively in the boot parameters behind the grub. That would probably be good to pull up too. Okay, so when you type set in console, it's going to tell you everything that's called upon boot. And this is heavy. Okay, so it's already setting right here out the gate the permissionable information. So it's already telling you, and this config is like high level stuff, so it doesn't have to be this much. This isn't something that I would recommend doing because it's easy to get lost in the sauce, but you kind of start somewhere and you got to work your way up. But if you just get a Linux and then, like me, trying to get back into it and everything's repo poison, you don't know what's right. You know, so like I got to kind of get back to like a workable amount. But, you know, I guess at some level you can boot differently into your gateway or PXE boot or whatever into different virtual servers. So like, or same virtual, but different operating systems. So like if I wanted to go put a Microsoft right now on one of these ports or something, I should theoretically be able to do it. If I have enough virtual memory available, which I'm sure you could buy at some point, but would it be as good as having it on your computer? Probably not. Probably wouldn't want to like use that specifically for gaming or something, right? And that's another thing I want to bring up. I don't think everybody should just go run to Linux for gaming. And I'm not going to talk shit about Steam or anything. They're a huge company. They got a lot going on, right? So I'll take that into consideration. He's always wanted to make an operating system. Just try, and he's done it. Like, I mean, he's a genius, right? I mean, look at the guy's like, I mean, you can't say nothing bad. People give him shit all the time, but the dude's made it. You know what I'm saying? He's successful. So, you know, something to be said for that. So what I'm going to say is just, you know, keep in mind that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So the basic problem, damn it. I hate this damn backdrop. Sorry. It's driving me crazy. All of this shit's driving me crazy right now. It's about to start raining here in Texas. Howdy, partner. Yep, old country computer cowboy. I'm allergic to horses, so couldn't go that route. But I got the Doc Holliday going, dude. I'll be your Huckleberry or whatever he said. So the set commands right here, and probably can't see them because this shit's so small. And I'm not gonna go back figuring it out. But there's a lot of like hooks in here that make it very difficult for one to get out of a situation that they think they understand. This is a trap box. Like, this is a trap. Or, yeah, I mean, it's a trap. Wrong or right, it's what it is. It's the same for either one of them. It can be used in different applications. It can be used like even like a teacher training program kind of thing. Hey, don't ever think you got it figured out. There's always another layer. That's why you got to follow it this way. So that's how I think of things. It's never as you see it. You know, you perceive a lot of things because you see it visually. Doesn't mean you know what's going on behind that. And that's like the whole thing about all this. There's always something tied to something. You know, your knee bones connected to your, you know, it's all, you know, a web. And you have to, like, you know, cut through this stuff very creatively, especially at this level of it. I did notice at some point during the process of all this, the game changed. It went to me getting there in 5 seconds. I could get where I wanted to go, wasn't bothered. I could go into a TTY session. They wouldn't see me because there's no output. And I was able to maneuver through all of these files, probably without them even knowing what I was doing. Because there's just no output. It's hush, touch, login, stuff like that. I'd escalate myself through it. At the time, I thought that was important. And then I would kind of chop away at some files, you know, and just try to see what connected to what and like what was the immediate, you know, thing that I needed to like knock out to get to the next step. I didn't have any major success till I figured out how to compile into the parameters. And that's really, really tough to do because they had encrypted swaps. And you can really put yourself in a bad spot if you're on like a hard drive or like like an NVMe or whatever. But if you're already on an encrypted USB, you can't. Nothing's gonna. It's fail safe. You just pull the USB, you're good. That's the whole point. So that's what I'm booted on right now. USB straight into my RAM. That's the only thing I have in the whole computer. I have no memory. Everything else is, you know, just touch and go. Every time I try to get persistent, somebody comes and tries to take what they think that they're going to be able to cover up, but everything's been cloned. That was like my only security policy on this whole thing, or only way to like try to figure something out. But I just wanted to get back to a workable amount, or I did. You know, it was like a point of like I need to get back to somewhere, and then now I'm here, and I'm like, I don't know where there I was trying to get, you know, because it's kind of like sucked the fun out of it, which sucks. But you know, I'm a grown man, so I can stop crying about it, right? So there's all these like underscore things which I had no idea, and these are a pain in the ass. These little ZSH hooks. These were the bane of my existence for, I mean, still, like, it was tripping me up so bad. I mean, and then when you're trying to, under pressure, do something really quick, it's hard to think, like, right in time, right in line with everything that's going on. So it's a really, so it's an exercise, you know, but, you know, you stick with it and you learn a little more and more every time, and you just don't let that shit get to you. And don't let the peanut gallery throw you off your game, because once they start squawking, you know you're winning. That's their insecurities talking. This is what it is. But yeah, if anybody's ever had any issues with this, you can message on. I'm available. Like, I don't know a whole lot, but you say what's up. I'm here. You know, I know how bad it is. It sucks. So, you know, or definitely reach out to somebody if you have any problems. Don't do anything stupid. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt nobody else over some dumb shit. Get some help. Put it together. Okay, so ZSH, it killed me. I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was just really, really screwing me. Let's see here. ZSH, highlight prior buffer. ZSH, highlight bracket. Debian, missing features. Dirstack, I wasn't really sure. Well, that was like the STD out. Okay. I don't know. I'm just not used to people just like rolling up in here and maintaining shit at the same time. It's just so different than what I've been used to. So it's just, and plus I'm like in a I'm like shell shocked because there were so many like, oh, I'm here to help, but I'm also dropping config files in your shit too at the same time. But it was really, really interesting like going through it. But yeah, it's gonna be all right though. It's like, hey, just talk to me, tell me something good. Like, hey, let me know you're here. Say hello. Knock on the door first. Wipe your feet off before you come in. Carpet up. All right, so I don't even know what this is. Didn't even see it when I was in there. There's some things that I'm like opening to, and then I broke some other layers that I don't even know what it is. But there's like just mod utils, things like that. Hosts management, like a different way to call it from like a authority point. And then there's some other shit I really don't know. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much in here. It's going to be really hard for me to explain because I don't even know. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. So this is the set thing I was telling you, but this is the set. I think it's set bash script. Hold on a second. Okay, so the bash script, user bin bash, right there. And this thing is silly, but I'm going to jump down because I don't want to show you the first two lines of it. It's a real puzzle solver, right? And then when you go look into this one folder, if it's not 50,000 characters or something, it's a lot. Like, yeah, there was 55,326 is what the line number on the notepad was, which I know there's not that many, like, that's for every letter that has a space. So some of there are spaces and stuff, but it's more than I've ever even understood. It's purposely there so you don't know what the hell is going on. And then this thing is encoded in ELF. I didn't even know that was a fucking thing. You know? Wrote in Mac, encoded in ELF. I spent probably a month thinking that the ELF was the binary shit. Like, I had no idea. I had no idea. It was just such a whirlwind. It was kind of cool though. Once you get it figured out, it's cool. Not so much in the moment, but you know, whatever. So the coloring is pretty intricate. You can see the LS, all that specific coloring to appear for the typical user that might be intermediate to think that the color indicates that you have a certain level of access. Red, green, blue, whatever. Just use white. You can tell when you get to a certain, different shades or whatever. You don't have to be like this, but this is here to let you break through a layer, understand the layer that you're at, and when you're ready, you'll break to the next one. And that's exactly what this is. That's it. And it's set up exactly like that. There's SVG colorings and stuff in here too. But yeah, the coloring is cool. It can get you in trouble. Like color D was like set up for like weird permissions in the password list. So that was something I had to like figure out way later than I should have. And then the biggest thing I can tell you that helped me is just eliminating all the preloaded languages, which is something that's as old as time, but there's only so many ways you can hide something in the boot. Time, font, load parameters. There's not much characters or like word sets that you can hide it around or anything. So you're limited. So I knew that like when I had every single language there was spread out over different menu options. So what it was doing, it was setting the params, and there was like menu option 1. You click it, you go in, you think you're just booting that. It's booting the entirety of all the options together, and they're contingent on each other to boot a certain way. So it's like a puzzle. You have to boot them all in a certain kind of order, or you have to be able to break that into like a situation where you can get it to go normal. But when you do that, there's a hook, and it takes you into a fake intra-RAM FS screen that will never get out. I mean, I tried like hell. I could never get it to boot. It's because I think that the SDA drives, or the dev drives, or HID drivers, sorry. And that's that whole like Yuri Kosina thing, or whoever that, you know. But yeah, I mean, I think I had a little bit of everything on this guy. So under the block list, there's a well, I gotta type it in this right. There's all these different blocks and stuff, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know which one is everything. But within this dev block file, there's HID drivers. Remind me, it's under Uncle Ben. Yeah, 3,637 files just in bin, and none of them are cool for me, or not. You know what I mean? Like none of them are like, hey, this app's gonna help me. They're here not to help you, unless you know how to use them. The opposite. But obviously, you don't need to get in a street fight with somebody when you've got all the weapons for them to take you out. You know what I mean? It's like handing them your pistol. Here, take this. I don't need it. And not just a pistol, a damn machine gun, a rocket launcher, and a tank. And they'll kick you in the nuts on the way by after. So there's some stuff in here that I probably shouldn't get into, like this whole poker shit. So I'm not going to. I forgot. There's some stuff in here that needs to be removed. That was a little out of the scope of what this video was intended for. So I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. What matters is that we're moving in the right direction, one step at a time. And I have to have faith that, you know, things will improve for myself and for the potential of being able to preserve, you know, what I've enjoyed so much, you know, with computers and internet and whatnot, because we keep playing this thing the wrong way, we're going to fucking not have it. You know what I mean? Like this is the beginning of the end if we don't do something about it. Well, maybe it already is. Who am I to say? But you can't convince me that and I'm not saying it's like shit on anybody, because I was the same way at that age. You can't give some kid, some little boy, 12, 13 years old, whatever, or young man, Airman NG, and, you know, all these like, you know, spoof to. You cannot give an individual, especially young men, the ability to use that stuff, because they're gonna use it. They can't help it. If there's a red button, they're gonna fucking hit it. You know what I mean? I have a hard time. I want to hit that motherfucker. I want to hit it so many times. I probably would have if I knew how to use it correctly, but I couldn't see my own traffic, so I had no idea what the hell was going on. So other than just like kind of flood advertise myself, which is completely within scope. If I'm testing on my own network, that's my whole thing. Like I wanted to stay like pure to the process of it, because there would have been nothing I could have done either way, honestly. So I just needed to play it close to the chest, I guess, at the end of the day. But I appreciate y'all coming and hanging out with me. This marks my second video for the day, so I'm kind of just trying to chip in here and there or whatever. But more than not, I just need to try to get kind of things set up back to where I'm comfortable, because I'm kind of still out of place. My room's a mess. I smell like poo. No, I'm joking. I've got liters of bottles over here with pee in them. I'm joking. Imagine I wasn't even leaving my room, just pissing like Howard Hughes or something. But yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah, and more than anything, this is kind of like my own therapy session, if anything, because it's kind of helping me work through it and recollect some of it, and then I can kind of package some of this video stuff because it is so difficult for me to explain this to somebody. The people that know don't understand what the hell I'm talking about because I don't use the proper like language behind it. And I'll try to like work on that, but I don't think we have to church it up. I think we just call it what it is. You know, and I think more people can appeal and understand it at a certain level if we kind of just make it real easy, because it is easy. If I can learn a little bit like I did, anybody can. Like I said, you just got to put the time in. You know, a little bit here, a little bit there. It's like learning anything. But so yeah, can't really think of anything else. I'm sure I'm missing a lot, and there's just a lot of things that I'm just not really sure what to do about. So. Well, it just works itself out, you know. But I do know one thing that I will attempt to be doing here pretty soon is in the next day or two, I'm gonna see what like that first certification to take is like a I don't know, what is it like? There's CompTIA, there's this, that, and the other. I mean, I'm gonna go with the path of least resistance first because like I don't really know where I'm at level wise, and I don't want to like do something and then it'd be like way out of my wheelhouse. You know, I don't want to like AI all the way through it because it's just reality. Like, you don't have access to that stuff and you really need to like know without having a phone like I just did like the last little bit. But I had some good sessions with it. It's just, it was real touch and go. You had to really, really watch and have critical eyes of like what they were saying. And even when you were copying and pasting code, you had to make sure that it wasn't like the color wasn't switched weird or something. It was like it was playing some sort of game, but it might have been a local language model or something. So, like I said, there's a lot to figure out, and I'm not going to learn it all in one day, or probably ever. But I mean, there's a lot. But keep it simple, And I think honestly, the best thing that you can possibly do is just know what each single directory, library, app, what it kind of does and what it points to and what would be connected and used within a vulnerability. So like obviously WPA supplicant is an app. That's one that was used on me. And it was a method of persistence within this Wi-Fi bridge. They have to have it. They don't know about the other exploit. So WPA supplicant is a wireless point access. Like supplier or whatever supplicant. This just supplies it supplicates the Wi-Fi. Wireless point is like when you hit the button on your to just access. So I guess they just run that app and it just lets them in. But that's what I thought originally. There was some sort of cracking going on, but there was another vector there that was kind of strange. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a really, really interesting set of circumstances with all that. But I'm gonna yeah, I'm sorry if I'm kind of trailing. I'm just trying to think like I don't know. And that's okay. Make it a great day or not. Choice is yours. My 8th grade teacher.